Hi, this is Mike Kniemeyer, and here we are with Between Two Pallets with Donna Folberth from Kroger's today. Donna, thanks for joining me in the basement and talking to me about transportation and logistics at Kroger's. Maybe introduce yourself to the group and let us know a little bit about you.
Okay. If titles are important, they don't mean much to me, but if titles
I am
are
a
important.
professor of logistics. So
okay, I'm just a lowly senior director of transportation.
That's still pretty good.
At Kroger down in Cincinnati. I work in our corporate supply chain department. And I'm responsible for kind of all things transportation and supply chain data analytics.
Okay. And tell us a little bit, I'm sure most people know about Kroger, but you got some fun facts about Kroger?
Oh, I've got some fun facts.
Yeah.
Now, in addition to being the spot to go for beer and food, right? Just a little bit about the numbers, because most people do associate us more with being just like your retail grocery store. So by the numbers, one of the most important numbers that we like to talk about is each of our Kroger associates get to impact 8.5 million customers' lives every single day by the work that we are responsible for. And so we really do make a difference every single day to 8.5 million customers that come to our stores. So in addition to the normal Kroger store that you think about, right? I'm just going to do some rounding here. Right. We have about 2,800 of those food stores that go by different banners. We have about 1,400 fuel stations that you'll see as Turkey Hill markets you might see, right?
I love getting that discount.
We appreciate you as a customer too.
My favorite thing in the world is getting that big discount at the Kroger fuel stations.
Absolutely. We have, believe it or not, about 400 jewelry stores. So Fred Meyer jewelries that you might see in some of our stores. And then on the logistics side, I can say that word because I too was a logistics major at one point in my life.
Where were you a logistics major at?
That other school a little further east of here, kind of white and navy blue colors. The Whiteout School.
Whiteout School.
Yeah.
State Penn? No, Penn
The State
State.
Penn. Yes,
Penn State.
yes,
That's
we
right.
did our best work in the State Penn. But that was 100 years ago. I've been in Ohio for a long, long time, and I'm.
So now you're a Buckeye now?
I am a Buckeye.
Thank
I am a
goodness.
Buckeye.
Thank goodness.
Yes. Anyhow, back to Kroger. On the logistics side, we have about 36 food and non-food distribution centers across the country, domestic. And we have 38 food manufacturing facilities. And then, of course, we interface with thousands upon thousands of suppliers, consumer goods products companies, as well as third-party trucking companies and warehouse operations.
Wow, so you've got activities all across the supply chain, suppliers, manufacturing, distribution, retail stores, raw materials. Wow, so I'm sure you're a very, very busy person. You mentioned you majored in logistics at Penn State. Why did you choose logistics? Why choose that as a career field? Particularly, in all honesty, it's been a fairly male-dominated field over the years. I think that's changed pretty significantly over the last couple of decades. But, I'm sure at the point you were at Penn State, it was probably a pretty male-dominated field. Why did you choose logistics?
I knew at age 18 that I wanted to be in logistics. I knew that. I wanted to be in a field that represented just huge diversity of experiences and exposure and hence impact. I really cannot think of any other field other than supply chain that you get to span across all kinds of different functions, collaborate with other vendor partners, and you get to have an impact that, the way I describe it, is the impact impacts the top line growth of a company, so revenue or sales.
Right.
And an example of that would be when we launched our new Simple Truth organic line. Within 2 years, we've become a $2 billion brand. And those are thousands of SKUs that we had to get into the supply chain. So we are impacting top line sales and revenue. And then also the way we like to describe it is the net profit of the company, right? Every dollar or dime that you can save in logistics goes straight to the bottom line on net profit. So you can imagine that when you're managing top line revenue and sales, and then you're also trying to manage net profit, that there might be a few tense moments and a few kind of contention discussions. And I love and thrive in that field because when you're in a particular specialty, you might not get that type of ability to communicate and to participate and have an impact.
I really love that perspective because often logistics is seen as a cost center, and we are very much a cost to the organization, and we do need to make sure we're managing those costs effectively. But this idea of logistics driving revenue, I think that's really a great perspective to have. Maybe talk me through some of the decisions you have. I know you've had experiences in the distribution center, you've had experiences managing transportation. What kind of decisions are you making on a day-to-day basis, or were there some critical decisions you made in your past that you think would be interesting to the group?
Sure. I'm going to put them in 3 buckets.
Okay.
I kind of be a little bit of a kind of a fragmented thinker sometimes. I have to compartmentalize things, so I'm going to use examples of 1, 2, and 3. So 1, 2, and 3. 1 is people. Okay. 2 would be processes and prioritization.
Okay.
And 3 would be strategic versus tactical. So I start with number 1, people. It all starts and stops with people in logistics. As much as we are reliant upon technology and innovation, somebody's going to be driving the truck, and somebody's going to be operating the forklift, and somebody's going to be unloading the goods at a store. Right. So it all starts with people. And the people decisions that I make on a daily basis, would be how to retain, how to attract, how to recruit, how to keep, motivate talent.
Right.
And as a leader, you have to be trusted by your people. They have to feel safe with you. You have to be in a mode where you're doing this engagement word, right? And what is engagement? It's not the ring, right, that you might be wearing. Engagement, we kind of look at that as communication and commitment and alignment. And so 3 simple words, but when you look them up and you actually put them in practice every single day, how I communicate, what I communicate, and communicate is 2 ways. I have to listen, probably more than I talk.
Right.
Alignment would be making sure that people really understand why they're doing what they're doing and how does that benefit the customer. And then the other piece would be the commitment, making sure that people really have the connection, they have the training, they have the talent, they see the career path. So that's the people part. Okay. Every single day, I probably spend at least 50% of my day on people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, at least 50%, because it starts and ends with people.
Okay.
So the other area that I mentioned was kind of processes and prioritization. In logistics, there's always 4,000 things that you want to work on, that you have to work on, and you have resources in terms of bodies and maybe capital to do about maybe 200 of those.
Right.
So a lot of what I have to do is tell somebody, sorry, Mike, your pet project's not going to get done today, or this month, or this year.
Oh, wow.
Because there is another project that has higher impact and higher benefit. And so being able to juggle what processes are we going to improve, how are we going to prioritize our work, and then communicating that to the folks would be that number 2 area. And I probably spend, I'm going to do bad math here, 25% of my time on that. Okay. And then the remaining 25% of my time is probably the hardest for me personally, and that is strategic versus tactical. When I wake up this morning, right, at 5 a.m., I was thinking about flooding in Houston and recovery efforts in Denver because of snowstorms. Wow. That's what I woke up thinking, okay? And I wanted to go straight into the tactical and solve for the tactical and make sure that I was monitoring the tactical. However, in a growth organization like Kroger, if I'm not spending 70% of my time on the strategic and only maybe 30% on the tactical, we're in trouble as an organization. Yeah. So those three areas: people, processes and prioritization, and then third would be the balance between strategic work and tactical work.
Yeah. Well, let me expand a little bit on some of those. I think that fits with some of the conversations we've had, at coffee shops and things like that. This idea of people, and you talked. We've talked about you managing that distribution center up in Delaware, Ohio. That seems to be a great opportunity for somebody because you learn those people skills that'll serve you well in whatever line of business you go into. But it also seems very challenging. Yes. What are some of the big nuances of managing people and doing it effectively? Any stories you could tell or share that you say this sort of demonstrates the challenge and the opportunity associated with managing people well?
Wow, I can talk quite a bit about this from several different areas. I would say maybe know who you are as a person first.
Okay.
If you think that you have people skills, how do you really know what kind of people skills that you have? There's all kinds of tools, right? There's something called the color code. There's something called Harrison. Do some type of an assessment where you're getting feedback from others as well as maybe a self-assessment so that you really know what kind of a people person you are. So as an example for me, I know that I am a red-blue. Now, what does that mean? Okay, a red-blue.
I'm a scarlet and gray myself, but...
That's a good one. So for red, I mean, these are kind of driven individuals.
Okay.
It's all about the results. It's all about we've got to get this mission accomplished today. The blue part is more of the touchy-feely human. How am I impacting people?
Okay.
How is this decision going to be communicated, with people? As opposed to maybe a white person who's very analytical, who's very logical in thinking. And I'll give you a for instance. I come hard charging into a meeting one time, and there's a group of us sitting around the table, and I did not know that I was dealing with an analytical, logical person, somebody that is under color code called a white, okay? Right. As opposed to a yellow. There's only 4 colors, by the way. A yellow is a fun person. So this would be the person that's got the pom-poms, right? Cheer, cheer, team, team. So I'm in a meeting, and we're having different viewpoints expressed, and a person who was a analytical, logical person, a white, starts telling me all of the reasons why we can't do something and how this was going to be handled. And I just said, we just need to make this decision and move on. I shut that person down unintentionally, and I didn't know that because I was focused on results. We got to get something done, and we need to make a decision. And the white analytical logical person was not able to very clearly express what he was the points that he was trying to make. And because he had no blue in him, no people kind of side, it was just a disaster. Down. So having this awareness of who I am as a people person, right? We actually use those color codes to then say, hey, if I'm in a situation and I'm in a meeting or in a work environment with a bunch of yellows, they all want to go down to the, to the field house and, and talk about the football game. And here I am trying to make sure that we're going to get something done. And you just have to kind of calibrate a little bit. Know who you are, and then know how to relate to others. That would be, one example, that I would, talk about, people. It all starts and stops with people. A couple other, short examples, would be in Kroger. We talk about the passion for the people, and we talk about the passion for the results. You really do have to have both. Okay? And how you relate to people while driving for the results is a talent. And you're very quick, I think, in Kroger. We try to be a feedback-driven, change adaptive, problem-solving culture. Those are a lot of words there, but if we break those down, feedback-driven. If you're telling me, Donna, you're not making the point here. I can't cry. I can't get upset. I have to say feedback. Okay, change adaptive. means I was late for this interview.
Yeah.
I had to be change adaptive. I had to reroute my transportation plan twice getting down here. I called immediately to say I have a problem. Here's my new ETA. Is there any flexibility? So being change adaptive, and then problem solving. Nobody wants to be told what to do, right? In the old culture, we waited for bosses to tell us what to do. In the new culture, we all own the accountability for problem solving for the customer.
Okay.
So
that's really interesting, and I appreciate that perspective, because I think that's an important understanding, to kind of balance these people aspects with that drive to achieve business results.
Can I give one more example, because I think this one's important.
How important?
Super important.
Okay.
Because logistics and transportation, supply chain is a people business, it's really all about the relationships that you have. Relationships with our associates, relationships with our senior officers and the board. And you have to be able to have relationships with all of those folks. Now, when I started out in logistics, I was dealing more with the folks on the floor of the warehouse. Front line, right, exactly. As I grew in my career, it became, maybe less of that and more of how do we deal with senior officers. And I think the successful person today has relationships with every level. And whether it's your suppliers, growers, packers, not the Green Bay Packers, meat packers, your technology partners, your transportation partners, you have to have relationships with all of those people in order to be successful.
Okay. You also talked about this strategic and tactical, and it kind of reminded me of a couple of stories we've talked about over the years. I remember you told me a story about a distribution center that you were managing, and there was a big power outage, and how you had to keep that product that was in the warehouse safe. Do you remember that conversation?
I do. So strategic versus tactical.
That seemed very tactical to me. And on the strategic side, I think too the things that you guys are doing with these winter storms and some of the data analytics.
Okay.
So maybe compare and contrast those two perspectives, just to show the breadth of what you do in logistics.
Okay, sure. So the tactical, as you so eloquently recalled, was 24 inches of snow, 9 inches of ice, a city. We had 250,000 customers without power. We had 29 of our stores, without power. Wow. And we were servicing a pretty wide geographic area where outside of that impact zone, we had other customers who said, what snow? What ice? I don't care. I just want my product. I don't care about that problem in that immediate impact area. Right. But nonetheless, your distribution center is shut down. You are on level 3 snow emergencies, yet you are responsible for getting products to the customers. They're counting on you. The stores, the Kroger stores, are counting on you to supply them with refrigerated trailers because they too, have problems. And so that would be an example of very, very tactical. Right. You get it done. Right. You get it done from a variety of things, all starting, I might add, with the people. Right. Who's actually able to get, through to the power company, and who actually can determine the prioritization of the food supply chain, and how you actually, react and recover to that. So that is 2 key words that I use: tactical, react, and recover.
Okay.
Strategic is where we flipped. We flipped the model, and we said, we're going to try to play weatherman. We're actually going to get some meteorologist. Okay, I screwed that word up. We're going to get a meteorologist on staff for us to help us with who can get a better forecast.
Right.
We used our customer.
I just say weatherman, by the way. That way you avoid all that.
Weather person.
Weather person. It's even better. It's even more correct.
And so then through the use of our customer loyalty data, we actually said, what do customers buy in advance of a snowstorm, and what are they buying after a snowstorm? And so really the strategic part of that was knowing what customers are buying, and all kinds of customers, right? Because some people might be saying, I got to get my cigarettes and beer, right? Other people say, oh my gosh, I got starving babies. I got to get the milk and bread, right? Others say, it's a 3-day impact snowstorm. All I need is some ground beef because I'm going to make a pot of chili that's going to keep me. So literally getting involved with better predictions on the weather forecast down to the specific store location. So we have that now. So as a for instance, the big snowstorm in Denver, we saw that 5-6 days in advance. The flooding that was occurring in Texas, we saw that 4 or 5 days in advance. And then how do you then say in advance of an event, so I'm not recovering, I am predicting and getting products out to the customer ahead of these events. How do I marshal extra trucking services, extra inventory, extra rental trailers? We've gotten pretty good at that to the point that we actually look at weather as a sales opportunity and not an, oh, woe is me, let me tell Wall Street why we missed our sales forecast. So when I was talking about logistics and transportation and our impact on revenue and supply chain, that's a great example of how strategically we get in ahead of these type of events, and we try to drive sales, take care of the customer in advance of the storms so that we're not spending all of our effort on this recovery.
Which can be very expensive too. So
absolutely.
That's wonderful. All this talk of food's getting me hungry. I better do this real quick. Today's show brought to you by Anthony Thomas Buckeyes. Do you guys do 10 for 10 on these Buckeyes? Or?
Oh, I'm sure we can.
Okay, so you might want to consider that during football season. I can predict that'll go well. So thanks. Starting to think about some other questions I might ask you to comment on. You think about skill sets. You know, we've talked a little bit about the people skills. Any other skill sets that you would highlight that it's important to develop as these students are in college that will serve them well, either in a logistics position or any other type of position?
Oh boy, I'll probably use a little jargon and make sure that I explain in case I use jargon that might not make sense or be relevant. I think probably the number one thing would be how to conduct an effective meeting. Okay? How many people love going to meetings? Zero, right?
I don't like meetings. No.
Nobody likes meetings. And so how to conduct an effective meeting so that you have preparation and planning, in advance. You actually make a decision at a meeting, and then you take action. Very simple 3 words. You plan, you do, you act, and you walk out of there knowing clearly why you had the meeting and what's going to happen.
Doesn't happen too often. No,
it doesn't. So, I would recommend, number one, there's lots of different resources. I'm not, trying to sell any particular resource here, but I tell you what, whenever you are known as that person that people want to come to your meeting, because wow, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste my time. And, I love stand-up meetings because, the worst thing you can have is a bunch of people comfortable around the table. So take out your chairs would be like one tip. Have meetings without chairs.
So
no we're not meeting. We're not meeting.
Okay.
So anyhow, that would be a broad talent or skill set that would affect and be impactful to any student. I don't care if you're pre-med, or supply chain. Know how to conduct an effective meeting. So drilling down into the specifics of logistics and transportation skill sets, know how to conduct and prepare a proper ROI, return on investment, and be able to communicate it, including sensitivity analysis and what ifs.
So the finance class probably is important for logistics people, just like the logistics class is important.
One cannot live without the other.
I like it. Perfect.
ROIs. Another thing would be, I would say, don't get too hung up on Six Sigma. Don't get too extreme with lean. Adopt Lean Sigma thinking.
Okay.
And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is you should know a 5S. You should know a Plan, Do, Check, Act.
Right.
You should know a SIPOC. It's not like a robot. Okay, you should know a SIPOC. Maybe even use a little bit of the DMAIC, type of thinking. Why? Just the fishbone analysis. Why? Just ask why.
Right,
Why?
right.
Why? So some of those things are very, very effective. On the technology side, I don't think you need to be a super technical person, but you need to be able to talk what's the cloud and why am I afraid of the cloud? Okay.
Because it might rain.
Because it might rain.
No.
It might be a snowstorm.
Or snow. That's an opportunity.
That's right,
All right.
sales opportunity.
A sales opportunity.
So technology, you need to be able to talk the cloud.
Okay.
You need to be able to talk Tableau and data analytics and visualizations and data security and data quality and data integrity. And how what you want to do in supply chain and transportation is really driven. All things start and end with data, right? So I would say from the technology, those would be a couple of different areas. Again, you don't have to be, the technology guru, but if you can't conduct yourself and have a meeting and work with your strategic partner in the technology department, you're just dead.
Okay.
So anyhow, I think you need to be mindful of those types of technology needs.
Okay. I know one of the interesting things is this relationship between marketing and logistics. I know Kroger's done some things with the Taste of Spain, the Taste of different places. How does that affect logistics? Like when marketing says we're going to do 10 for 10 on a certain product, or they're going to do a taste of a certain area of the world, how does that translate into what you have to deal with?
Well, it is what we do, right?
Okay.
The products do not magically appear on the shelves. And so really that's when the supply chain and transportation, logistics, that's what we live for at those events. As a matter of fact, we are creating what we think is probably the first major retailer version of a sales and operations planning department. Normally that function occurs within manufacturing, right? Or if you're a consumer goods company. But we actually are creating that within logistics.
Okay.
And just as its name implies, when we have a Taste of Spain, right? When we have a big 10 for 10 water sale,
right.
When we have a big launch of like Simple Truth Organic, the $2 billion brand now, it all starts with, okay, what's the plan, right?
Yeah.
You got to have a plan, right? And we sit at the table with our marketing folks, and we help make those decisions in terms of sourcing, where are we going to get the product from,
Okay.
lead time, how much time do we have? And believe it or not, most of those major events, we're talking 4 to 5 months in advance, that we're having the discussions about how to source and deliver and then provide those stores with those products. Other examples, would be food safety. It would be sustainability. It would be picking and choosing the vendors, that we're going to get that product from. It might even involve packaging. This is an honest to goodness, you can't make up some of this stuff in logistics, right? You just can't make this up. In one of our events, we had packaging came through that was sourced from Europe.
Okay.
And our definition of packing, I guess, was a little bit assumed versus their definition of packaging. And in comes the olive oil. And, well, let's just say it was bottles on a pallet with no packaging.
Oh, my.
Other than the exterior wrap. And we're like, how are we going to get this to our stores? So, being the change adaptive, problem-solving culture that we are, right, you get to work, hammer down, and you figure it out. So, yes, we work with virtually every single one of the events. Anywhere from 8 weeks to 4 months out, and we figure out which tier of our distribution system we're going to use. Okay. We talk about things like delivery frequency. We would talk about QA processes in terms of how we're going to receive and ship, the product to our stores.
Yeah, so really always multifaceted.
Always
problems.
Always multifaceted.
Well, great. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us today here in between two pallets and in the basement. you talked about relationships. We've had a standing relationship for several years, and you've always been a big supporter of Ohio State and our program. So thank you again for taking the time.
Best of luck to all of the students, and go Buckeyes.
Go Buckeyes. Thanks. So can you tell me a little bit about the trends in logistics and transportation? And guys, how many times do I got to tell you? I'm really sorry.
Sorry, Dad.
No kickball in the house, guys.